In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Dear.
What was that?
That was take 2.
Awful.
That was. Welcome into Access Sports Weekly here on AccessWDUN.com. Bo Wilson, right beside Jeff Hart. And behind the screen in front of his own camera, because he's a special guy, Seth Chapman, as we welcome you into the show. Show number 2 here since March 16th, folks, of the Access Sports Weekly. And we're here this week because it's opening week for football, but it is Thursday, Jeff, and we do have 24 more hours to go.
Not saying a word. We woke up on Monday thinking, hey, we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
And the world almost ended on Monday.
Almost ended on Monday. Well,
so I'm not saying a word.
14 games remain on the slate for Friday in our area, and we have some pretty good games for you on the schedule. But, you know, we've come this far, and, you know, we've talked to all the coaches this week. And all the coaches, they have said that the players are excited, the coaches are excited. There is a little bit of nervousness going on, obviously, because you've had a 2-week season delay. You've had extra practice time, but you've not had any scrimmages. But, Jeff, you know, these players and coaches are ready to go.
Are they ever? I mean, you can see the excitement. We're going to talk about a new series that we have, and I went out and talked to some players and coaches, and the players are just jumping. Mm-hmm. They're ready to go. However, I think I also got a sense of, you know, just some underlying nervousness, just because I think we've said it before until we actually see them kick off.
Right.
I think that there's some apprehension among the coaches and players that until they're actually on the sideline starting a game, are we actually going to be playing? So I would like to say it's not out there, but I think the excitement level far outweighs whatever anxiousness is out there. But, you know, people are ready to go.
Well, you look at it, and as we said, 14 games on the slate this week. And, you know, the coaches around the area, they have done a fantastic job of all the COVID-19 protocols and all the social distancing and keeping the, nobody's been in quarantine except for one team that we know now that came up on Monday. You know, you can't run from the COVID, but and sometimes it does get you. But the positive thing about this whole situation, more than 350 schools of the 425 schools that play football in the state of Georgia are playing football.
And that's a positive. I wish we were we've talked about this. We wish that we had been seeing more press about the positive nature of what the overall percentage of schools in the state of Georgia are moving forward to play.
Right.
I mean, sure, we can talk about all the teams, and there are some teams not playing, but when you look at the vast majority of programs that have been able to navigate all of this craziness, and they're still playing, that there needs to be more about that, and that's what we're going to talk about. I don't really want to. We'll mention here the one team that's not many, because that was an interesting story, and we're going to have a great interview coming up later in the week or later today on that.
Well, you know, you look at it as you know, the game that we kind of looked down the schedule on Monday and said, you know, this game really jumps out to us because it had East Jackson traveling to West Hall, two of our area teams, and it was a game where we would be able to see the improvement from 2019 to this season between the two teams. Cam Pettis in his second year. Krofton Montgomery has a slew of talent returning, maybe the most talent starters returning in Region 7 3A. So
right.
That game was very interesting. We had it on the air. We're going to broadcast the game, and then boom, East Jackson comes down with a few players in COVID-19 quarantine. So that game was canceled. The positive out of all of this is like 2.5 hours later, West Hall back on the schedule with Jackson County because Jackson County played East Jackson as well. So East Jackson's done for 2 weeks.
Right.
So it worked out for the two teams.
It was for us personally, it was a wild hour and a half.
Oh, it was.
Because we were in the middle of doing this new series. I'm running around the area, have interviews lined up. I get to West Hall, find out, I'd love to talk. No game. I'm like, excuse me. I thought I was being punked, Bo. I did. I was looking around for the cameras. I was like, I looked up to see if maybe, there was one of the bird's eye view of me or something like that, but there was nothing.
That would be a drone, Jeff.
A drone, thank you. I was not being punked. See, y'all make fun of my memory.
No,
it's just not fair to pick on old people.
Precious memories.
It's not fair to pick on old people.
So
it was just what happened to you one day.
You didn't get the interview with Krofton on Monday, but you did go back and get an interview with Krofton because Krofton and the West Hall Spartans are now playing Jackson County, and you and Krofton sat down and talked about what's going on over at West Hall.
I did. Actually, a great interview. One of the ones that I've enjoyed doing for a while because we kind of talked about some things that you just don't normally talk about, and Krofton was pretty candid about some of the things, and a great interview, really a great interview. One of the things that we talked about, what was this, getting a thing with Jackson County, and what we did, I just asked him, I said, how did that come about? And he said that actually, I basically just said, who made the first call? Well, who made the first call, you or Coach Recorder?
Well, I actually told Coach Wagner, my athletic director, to contact their athletic director, and he contacted them, and then he contacted him back, and then Coach McWhorter called me and said, we want to play.
All that within about an hour and a half. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
The good thing I will say about it is me and Coach McWhorter have talked in the off season about potentially playing this year. It didn't work out with scheduling in terms of dates, so it was a little bit easier knowing that I was open to playing them, and I'm sure he's open to playing us at the same time. So, and I know he's Hall of Fame type caliber coach who, he probably is thinking the same as every other coach. We want to be able to go out and play ball at this point. We don't want to be shut down. We want to go play.
Right. Really interesting there. Those two teams wanted to play. So, how ironic that they're actually going to get to play.
Think about it. You're a head football coach. You've got another head football coach over here, and you lose your opening week game. One football coach or one football team is off opening week, but hey, they play East Jackson week 2. So what happens? 2 light bulbs go ding, and they make it happen.
When we hear all the issues about programs being able to kind of get back some of the games that they've lost, like a lot of teams play South Carolina teams, so so the scramble to kick games has been pretty crazy. So for this to happen in an hour and a half, though, because we've seen teams go, we've seen on Twitter, I'm looking for a game. That's been going on for weeks. Oh, yeah. An hour and a half, and they were able to pull this off. But, that brought up another question that I asked Krofton was, well, Coach, have you ever had to, you're playing one team, and an hour later you're playing another team in 3 days, and how do you scout those? And we talked about that. That was quite interesting. Like this, how do you turn around and scout a team in 2 days?
Well, at that point, you kind of got to stick with a lot of the things that your base type schemes, offensively and defensively, and then you make your adjustments just like we do at practice every day. You make the adjustments to what you're seeing. We got an idea of what they're going to do, but at the same time, without scrimmages, every team in Georgia is in this. Right. They can say they know what's coming. Nobody really does because there's misinformation. You could be running, a spread look. The thing is, in today's game, very rarely you're going to see somebody that's in the shotgun all of a sudden be under center and run the wishbone. If that happens Friday night, you're going to see a quick timeout. and we're going to be like, all right, let's rally the troops. And maybe that does happen. I never know. But.
So, Jeff, if you were in that position of Coach Montgomery, what and you have one team you've been preparing for, then you have another team, boom, in your lap. You have 4 days basically to prepare. What would you do?
I don't know. That was interesting. The thing is, you can go and pull film from last year, but here's what I know about Jackson County: they're tweaking their offense this year.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's going to help them at all. And when you look at West Hall film last year, if you're Jackson County, they quite frankly weren't very good.
Right.
What do you pull out of that?
Yeah,
I think both of them have. They've got. I see a lot of this going on the sidelines. I didn't know that was
Well.
coming. How do I know that was? I just loved his comment about it. He goes, he basically you heard him say, if they come out in something I haven't seen that I'm calling timeout.
Going to be interesting over the hot
The question is how quick will those 3 timeouts go in the first half for both teams? Because but we're gonna have his full interview, Bo, coming up a little bit later today on that's going to drop on Access. A great interview. We talked about things like that. What do you do in these situations? He's got Bruce Miller on his staff. Bruce told him 45 years. I've never seen this. So they have a very unique circumstance.
There's going to be a lot of never seen this probably throughout this season. So anyway, there are a lot of interesting games on the slate this week on Friday. So we've kind of picked out a few to go or to talk about for just a few minutes. Johnson at Cherokee Bluff. This game here, Jeff, you've got new coach William Harrell leading Johnson. And you've been out there a few times to see Coach Harrell. And every time you come back, you talk about how Coach Harrell is just a really hands-on coach and how he's really pouring into Johnson. And then on the flip side, you've got Cherokee Bluff, who comes in with an infusion of talent with Coach Tommy Jones building in his 3rd season. And
high expectations.
As you look at Bluff, this could be their year. In the region. And so you got these two teams coming together. It just kind of has an intrigue about it.
Well, it does. And, of course, if you remember last year, Cherokee Bluff knocked off Johnson. That was their first ever win in program history. So, I don't think you ever want to be someone's first ever win. So I'm sure Johnson's not real happy about that. And I talked to Harrell. I also talked to quarterback Justin Long with Johnson. And Justin told me, the kids that were here last year, we remember that. So how is that going to factor in? Because the challenge at Johnson has been that Coach Harrell did not physically lay eyes on his team until June. Mm-hmm. He had no chance to see what he had in the spring. Who they may not have a spring game, but at least you could have gotten to the school, see kids. Hey, are you playing? You're not playing. He wasn't even able to really see the school until they went back to school. So numbers are down for Johnson, which is to be expected when you have a coaching change as late as they did. Who knows what's going to happen? But I will tell you that their practices are very energetic when I've been out there, hard hitting. And Harrell really is hands-on. I loved what he was doing. He was working. One day I was out there, he was working with the linemen. I think, Seth, we were out there doing the mic'd up. And we were both commenting on how Harrell was working with those guys.
Very physical.
Very physical.
Very physical in there and very, very interactive.
So, I think give him time. I see Johnson, I think once they get the numbers and he gets what he wants here, I think the Knights are going to be in good shape.
Okay, on the flip side of that, Cherokee Bluff, you did get to talk to Coach Jones and Garrett Davis over at the Bears complex. And Coach Jones, he's just trying to get that first win, he tells me all the time.
He just doesn't believe
actually,
it.
that first
I know.
down.
He just doesn't believe us when we say he's loaded.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He's loaded.
He's loaded.
He's loaded.
Coach, you're loaded.
Coach, you're loaded. Just get on board.
Is that going to be our word of the day, loaded?
That's just a little
sorta.
joke with Coach.
But look, he's trying to temper the expectations because a lot of these kids have never been in this spot. That can be a lot to try to handle. It's a lot different when you're an 0-10 team coming into a season like they did last year. They were able to, they got Johnson. They knocked off a couple other teams. They were 3-7, about what you expect.
And really a playoff hunt there late.
Yeah, and they really were. But this year, before we played a game, before practice, people were already talking about them. Yeah. They had the best running back probably in the region coming back in Jaquan Smith. You looked at, again, we talked about the infusion of talent. You had Shad Dabney, one of our Access All-11 players. Jaquan was one of our Access All-11 players. They got 2. They were one, I think them and Buford, maybe Gainesville. That's it. Had multiple players. So the expectations are real high. So how he's been trying to back off from that, because, look, we don't really know how they're going to respond. They're going to have a new quarterback because the quarterback from last year went back to where he's from in Towns County. So, there's a couple of question marks there. But, really, they have a lot of talent on offense. They have a lot of talent on defense. They're in a region that's going to be very, very competitive, and they're going to be a player. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So how they handle the expectations, I think that'll be the issue for,
all right,
for the Bears.
couple other games. Commerce at Bank City. This one's always interesting. And Gainesville traveling down to Stockbridge, and Stockbridge is a team coming off an 8-3 season. They've lost some folks. Gainesville coming back with a pretty potent offense and a stingy defense. So this should be a great first test for the Red Elephants. And Heath Webb talking about what his expectations of what's going to happen. But this game fell in their lap about a week and a half ago.
It did.
By the way,
we had them on our new aired out series that was out on Wednesday, and he and Yusuf Ali were talking about that. For those that don't know much about Stockbridge, they beat Gainesville in the playoffs in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
They've won 89 games since 2011. That's almost 9.8 wins a season. So this is a program that is used to winning. They've had a lot of success, quarterfinal, semifinal appearances in that time. This is I think it's going to be a great test for the Red Elephants for us to see what they have. We're expecting a hard and fast defense like they've shown in, maybe 7, 8, 9 years ago. I think we're back to that. And an offense is supposed to be even more improved with a Johnny Williams working hard in the passing game. You're going to have named Cheeks, who could be one of the area's breakout players at running back. They're going to have good line play, some good receivers, Lenny Chapman. The game. We're going to find out, I think, a good bit about Gainesville in this game.
So Seth was at the intra-squad scrimmage last Friday and had a chance to catch up with Coach Webb and just kind of talk to him a little bit about, what was it like to get out kind of in a team setting, in a game setting over at City Park. And, Seth, I know you got a chance to talk to Coach Webb. And what was your feeling?
Yeah, he felt pretty excited to be out there with his team. He felt like it's definitely, important for them to get out there. And while there's some, he called it a glorified practice, but it's one great atmosphere of, glorified practice over there at Bobby Groon Field. It was really great to get out there and just watch them kind of challenge one another. And he said that it was really important for his team to get out there.
You're out here for the first time in a little while. You got yourself a scrimmage going on. Tell me about what you saw today that you liked, didn't like. How does it feel to be back here on the field?
Effort was good. It was nice to kind of get this dress rehearsal of getting our technology right, our communication right, our cameras right, getting special teams on and off the field. We had a couple of issues with that, but it's good to have that rehearsal and mess that up now so we can get it cleaned up for next week.
Do you think that's incredibly important for your kids?
Yeah, it's important to get out under the lights, a little bit of noise, some people watching, get some nerves out, that kind of thing. We missed those scrimmages, and so the mistakes that we made tonight are mistakes we normally would have made in the scrimmage, things that we know we got to get cleaned up now.
Do you think that's been really good for your kids' mentality to get back out here on the field and just play against one another?
It's great to be in City Park anytime. That's the deal. It's anytime we're here, it's good. It's just a great place to be and great atmosphere no matter what, even if it's just a practice. And that's all it was tonight, was a glorified practice, so it was good.
All right, and tell me about kind of some of the stuff you're seeing that how are you guys progressing so far, getting ready for this? Late start to the season, so you have a little bit more time. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, we had more time in the preseason, but we've had very little time for Stockbridge because of the reschedule thing. So we're still working on that game plan, still working on installing that game plan. We worked a little bit of that tonight, looked a little sloppy, but it was good to get out here and work it. But kids' effort is outstanding. Coaches are doing an awesome job, so we're looking forward to playing next Friday.
It is time for it.
WilHart Team of the Week.
And there's our big voice guy. He's back. First time since March 16th.
It's been a while, guys.
I was afraid he had forgotten where we were.
I had to look up the address again.
He's back. So we kind of talked about this in the sports office. I asked Jeff, even though he forgot 5 minutes later, but I asked Jeff, I said, who is our WilHart Team of the Week? And he immediately said, Flowery Branch.
I did, just like that.
You did.
Well, they're 6-1 overall, 6-0 in Region 8-4A. We talked about that softball region on one of our podcasts and how difficult that was going to be. You had them, you had Jefferson, you had North Oconee, you had East Hall, all playoff teams, all went deep in the playoffs last year. And Flowery Branch, so far, they've taken all comers and swatted them away. I'm not going to say with relative ease, but they're undefeated.
Well, congratulations, Flowery Branch. You are
WilHart Team of the Week.
You forgot the microphone button.
He's a little slow on the
He's a
uptake
little
today.
slow on the button.
And,
rusty,
you know,
guys.
that's what happens
Give me
when
a
you've been
break.
gone for 6 months.
Hey, what do you got there? Check us out on Twitter at Friday Game Night for all of our football coverage. For our sports coverage at WDUN Sports. Jeff is at HeartJJ22. I'm at the Bo Wilson. Also check Facebook and Instagram keyword search Access WDUN Sports. You can also check Seth out over on Instagram. That's the only spot he's at in the social world.
Yeah, but guys, get ready for next episode. We're gonna have some new stuff coming on our show.
Whoa.
We're gonna have some new segments, some really new fun segments, some really cool stuff.
Are you saying, did he just say
You-
we weren't fun?
You're going to wear a hat,
I know, but
a goofy hat.
But we're gonna have some new
That's two
segments, some cool
references to my
stuff going
bald
on, guys.
spot
If
in
you
one
don't
show.
already subscribe, make sure you click that subscribe button, give us a like, share us with your friends. We're gonna do some cool stuff next week. Please tune in for episode
yeah, I'm
3.
lonely. Share me with your friends. I'm lonely. I'm lonely, really.
All right, folks.
Jeff, you're married.
Check the website out for full previews of this Friday's games, the rundown, recap, caps, whatever we're calling them. They will be right there on the website. You can check them out. All 14 games. For Seth, for Jeff, I'm Bo. It's football time, folks.